Hey YouTube! So today in this episode I'm going to talk to you about cohabitation. So I will talk from my own personal experience. With my last relationship, we were together for about a year, and it was 4 months into the relationship when we decided to cohabitate. Now, the person who brought up cohabitation was me. Yes, me. I felt like I was at a point where, like I'm an adult, we're in a relationship, I feel like it's going really well, I feel like I could see a future with this person. Why not just live together? Like, why not try it? Because I've never done it before, so I was really curious. And he was about it. Like, I brought it up. I'll never forget the conversation. I was kind of like, just generally kind of like, yeah, what do you think about cohabitation? What are your thoughts on that? And he was like, yeah, I don't have anything against it. And then I was just kind of like, would you be down to? And he was like, yeah, it was kind of like, yeah. So it was like an easy decision. And then it was simply figuring out when, and because both of our contracts were up around the same time, so it was perfect. So first it was that we were going to live in Busan. So I was gonna finish my contract in the city I lived in, and then we were gonna find a place in Busan because we both really like it there. That's where he lived. Then, based on just like, life and changes in our goals, we decided that actually Seoul would be a better fit for what we wanted to get out of Korea. So then we started looking for Seoul, and that's how we both ended up in Seoul together. Now, my family, they were not in support of the moving in together. I would say there was only one person who was like fully on board, and yeah, like I love her, my aunt. She's like my second mom. But yeah, she was like in support of it, in the sense that she understood where we were coming from, and she understood and respected our decision as two consenting adults who were in love and wanting to take their relationship to the next level. And so that was cool. It was nice to have like someone in, on my side. Everyone else, yeah, they weren't. They didn't think it was a good idea. It was kind of like, okay, well, if you guys are so ready to move in together, why don't you just get married then? And it was kind of like they were associating moving in together with marriage, and we weren't. That's not actually how we were looking at it. We were more like, okay, if we move in together, we will be able to get to know each other a lot better, and then we can see really like, okay, is this someone that I could be with? Because I don't know about you, but the thought of like marrying someone that I've never lived with kind of scares me. Like, how do you really know the person then? Like, there's things that come along with living with someone and being in their face every day, versus when you both have your two homes that you go to, and you can, just like plan to see each other. Like, you know what I mean? It's just different. You learn about that person in a completely different way. And for me, that's really necessary. So, yeah, I mean, I completely understand where my family was coming from. In our culture, yes, it's taboo. Like, we don't do that whole living together before getting married. And so I get it, and I understand why it's not encouraged. I also feel like one of the reasons why some of my family members weren't in support of it was because they were thinking like, oh shit, this means there's gonna be some kind of unexpected pregnancy that's gonna come up, because like sex is gonna be had all the time. And I get that. I get it. I get that fear, and I understood that when I shared the news and I heard some people's like feedback and and I felt how nervous they were, and like, you know, my mom, for instance, and I knew, I was like, oh man, this totally has to do with sex. She doesn't want me, you know, getting pregnant and whatever. And I get that. I totally do. I get it. But, you know, at the same time, if something like that were to happen, we're in a position to take care of it. You know what I mean? Like, if you're adult enough to move in together, I think you should be able to handle the consequences that may or may not come from any decision you make, basically, is what I mean. We were prepared for that. We did have that talk after we, actually before we moved in together, we had that talk about if we ever did have like unexpected pregnancy, what would we do? Would we want to pursue it? What would we want to do? And we both agreed that, yeah, we would love to do that. And we always saw each other being like, you know, the father or the mother of each other's child. So it was like, that just made wanting to live together just feel so much more natural, you know. And yeah, it's not in the order that, you know, society says, like, you know, meet someone, you guys meet, date, get engaged, get married, buy a house or move in together, have children, whatever, white picket fence, whatever that dream is. I get it, and I know that also has a lot to do too with why people are against it. But I pride myself on doing things differently, and I pride myself on defining my own vision of success, of love, of everything, of my life. And that's been a really, you know, long time coming, and I work on that all the time. It's not easy to stand on your own and to make your own decisions, but something that my ex and I had in common was wanting to do things differently, our own way. And you know, I've always lived under the influence of my family in always wanting to please them. I have this need for approval. Okay, yeah, don't we all? But no, mine is pretty excessive. I have this major need for approval that I've had to, you know, really balance, to where before I didn't feel like I could just like be myself or do what I want to do, knowing that, okay, this is not what's going to make my family happy, but what is it that's going to make me happy? How do I go about doing that? And even when I do it, how do I deal with the guilt that sometimes comes along, because it's like, oh, I know it's not going to make them happy, but I'm happy, you know? So yeah, it's like, it's a lot of things. The decision to move in together for me was like me, you know, taking back my own control and doing something that isn't the norm, and doing something that I really have always wanted to try. I've always wondered, you know, I see couples who do it, who live together, and I'm just like, wow, that's so interesting. Like, I really want to try that. And this relationship that we had was a really good one. It was a really nice, healthy relationship, and I think it was the perfect one to try out living together. Now, yes, we did break up recently, like a couple months ago, but it wasn't like a bad breakup. It was a good breakup, and we did talk about, you know, when we were breaking up, it was like, well, we'll see, like maybe we can rekindle or whatever. But I mean, like, there's still love there. You don't just stop loving someone that you did love before, and I definitely do. We still care about each other and stuff like that, but I don't regret living with this person. And yeah, when it comes to other people and you know, advice for other African girls, if this is something you really want to do and you are in a healthy relationship and you and your partner are both on the same page about it, and you have a plan and all that good stuff, I'd say do it. You know, like, follow your heart. It should be what's going to make you happy. And yes, your family might not be happy with you in the beginning, but they will come around and they will respect your decision. And that's for anything you do. As long as you're not hurting anyone, do you, boo-boo. Seriously. And like I said, I deal with this ongoing inner battle, like, every day. But it gets better. It's getting better. I'm getting more confident in my decisions, and I'm I'm finding that balance all the time. So yeah, would I do it again? Well, because it ended, and that part sucks. Like when you're living together and then breaking up, like it's a completely different feeling than when you guys were just dating and didn't live together and broke up. It's like, you know, you have to separate things and whatever. Not as intense as a divorce, because there isn't so much of the like the finances and assets and division of property and all that, like, you know, legal shit. But it still has, there's still levels to this, in that you still have to go through that discussion of, okay, who's gonna take what, who's gonna go where, and you know, and it does still involve that. And then even just like, because in my case, it's like he left, so I stayed in the apartment that we shared. And you know, one of my fears when we decided to part ways, because it didn't happen, the breakup didn't, like, it's like we decided we were gonna break up, and then we still were under the same roof for another like month and a half or 2 months, and it was like this prolonged breakup. Like within that time we were still like, okay, no, I'm not gonna say we were still cool, because we had our ups and downs. It was an emotional whirlwind, and I didn't like that. I didn't like, it felt like, okay, let's rip off the band-aid already, you know? Like I feel like I'm stuck in limbo, where we're just waiting for this you know, impeding end to this relationship where he will be leaving. And so yeah, I made it more difficult like that. But that part sucks. The breaking up, when you move in with someone and breaking up from them, with, you know, that part sucks. And like, I don't want to say starting over, because it's not like you're starting over, you're just going back to being alone, and there's nothing wrong with that. Being alone's good. I'm actually, now that it's over and he's gone and everything, I'm like, wow, I have all this mental space that's just cleared up, where I'm just like, ooh, okay. Before him, I was alone for a while after my relationship before this one. And I mean, if you look at my blog, you'll see that, you know, like I've shared quite a bit about that breakup. It was like a pretty hard one, and we weren't even living together, and I'm not gonna get into that, but I spent a good amount of time alone and built myself up, and got very comfortable with being alone. But then when we lived together, I got very comfortable with being with him, with having him there, you know, going to sleep together, you know, having that warmth next to you. I really like that. Like, I'm a really physical person. Like, I like human contact, well, with people that I like, that I'm comfortable with. Yeah, so I got really comfortable with that, really comfortable with, you know, like, having a meal with someone, sharing a meal, and cooking together, and grocery shopping together, working out together, joking around, wrestling. I love wrestling. We would just wrestle. I don't mean like full out wrestling, but just like, you know, goofing around, wrestling and stuff. Yeah, so that stuff makes it all worth it, to be honest. Like, you get to learn someone. You guys have to fart around each other. You know, like, I cannot be with someone if I can't fart around you comfortably, and you not make me feel like bad because I fart. Like, I'm human. Yes, I poo. Yes, I'm human. We poo. You have to poo. You have to cleanse. You know, like, all that stuff. You see that stuff when you live with the person. And I think for me, it's very important. I need to be comfortable enough to do that. And this relationship was that. So yeah. Like I said, if you've ever considered it and you are in that place with this person that you're with, I'd say go for it. You know, do what makes you happy. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, thanks for watching. Hit that.